Well, I think it'd be pretty safe to say we've all been on medication before, whether it's for a cold, maybe an infection, something more serious, such as heart disease or cancer.
And usually medicine we take can help us, but sometimes in some cases it can hurt us if we misuse that medicine. Our next guest wants to help us avoid that. Dr. Jim Rybacki is an author and president of the Medicine Information Institute in Easton. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
Now, studies show, and I want to get this right, more than 100,000 people die every year from misusing medicines or from using medicines, period. That's amazing.
It's remarkable when you think about it. And it says, you know, when you think about these pills, especially prescription and non-prescription medicines, even though you can get some of them without a prescription, they may interact with those prescription drugs you're already taking. So you always need to talk to your doctor and pharmacist before you just combine them. And even some of the herbal compounds are similar to what prescription drugs have in them. And you can actually have an increased risk of side effects.
So what's the best way to avoid misusing our medicine?
Gotta know a complete list of what you have. In fact, for example, I have brought with me my medical record, and I happen to have this on a flash drive, and it has all of my medicines on it. I happen to be allergic to penicillin, and so if I'm unconscious, they take me to the hospital, I will not get some penicillin.
How about that?
Amazing. Now let's talk about some steps we could take to avoid misusing medicine.
Really, really key question. A pill isn't always the answer. I'm fond of saying that. People say, well, but Dr. Rybacki, you're a pharmacist. What are you doing? A pill isn't the answer. You know, we want that magic pill that works for everything, and unfortunately it doesn't exist. So always have a really open dialogue with your doctor. Talk about all of the prescription, non-prescription, and herbal medicines that you take, and don't fib about that. There actually have been some combinations of medicines that are herbal, and they're stronger combinations that interact with prescription ones. For example, if you have white willow bark and you're taking a blood thinner called Coumadin or warfarin, well, that's actually aspirin, but it doesn't sound like that, and it can increase risk of bleeding. So we have to be very, very careful. Keep that full list and tell every doctor you see and dentist that these are the things that I'm taking.
Yeah.
All right, you mentioned aspirin. What do we need to know about aspirin?
Do you know, it's interesting. If you look at this little bottle, what happens to be an 81 milligram form of aspirin, this is interesting in the sense that it can help prevent a first heart attack, because it makes your platelets just slippery enough that you can avoid that clot that we call a heart attack. If we look at this in a little bit larger dose though, and I happen to have something here, if you were a heart patient and you started having chest pain, what would you do? Well, the 81 milligrams isn't going to do it. What you do is, here are actually 2 full-strength aspirin, and the amazing thing is that this is called At Heart. It's a little bit more stable than other aspirin, and it's immediately available. So you can actually lessen the damage should you be having a heart attack. Call 911 always. But I think if aspirin would have come before the FDA today, it would be a prescription drug. I'm here to tell you.
Really?
Powerful stuff. And so we ought to regard it as medicine, not just, oh, that over-the-counter stuff.
Now,
it's medicine.
What is this we're hearing lately in the media about aspirin possibly preventing some sorts of cancer or some kinds?
It is a remarkable situation. And so when you look at some of the people who were taking this mini-dose aspirin for heart problems and some people who are taking some bigger doses, there appears to be a relative prevention of polyps or cancer itself in the bowel. And so we need a little bit more data on that before we start actually thinking about that as part of a prescription to help prevent people from getting bowel cancer who are at risk, but very promising. There's always news in medicines. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
What about cholesterol?
I hate cholesterol personally, and our audience should hate cholesterol. When you look at it, you know, we all want to have those really young arteries, and I know I have too many things in my pockets, but we want our arteries to look like this. I mean, let's have it a nice open pipe. And unfortunately, without any symptoms, what cholesterol does is to lead to a very clogged artery. We have some great medicines that can do something about that, but I'm here to tell you, you got to take them every day.
You got to know, you got to be
and you
consistent.
got to set a goal with your doctor.
Tell us about your book.
Well, I've written the Essential Guide to Prescription Drugs, and I've actually pulled 12 top medicines for 2012. The interesting part is that I actually put aspirin in the book because we all have to be safe. There's 24 pages on aspirin, and don't you dare call me compulsive because I am. But we need all the information on that. I also cover some medicines for melanoma, cover cholesterol medicines, cover some high blood pressure medicines, and basically the big disease states that you two need to avoid and manage well.
And it's coming out soon.
It is. It's actually coming out April 2nd, about 232 pages, and I feel like I've had a small child.
Yeah. If you'd like some more information on the Medicine Information Institute or on Dr. Rybacky's book, all you need to do is go to our website, delmarvalife.com, click on the show tab. Well, still ahead on Delmarva Life, we're sticking with health. Brian's going to show us one of the latest crazes in keeping your heart healthy. But first,
The Burley's Bon Voyage. It's a children's play with a message. We're going to talk to the guys behind the play, plus find out how you can attend. You don't want to miss it. Delmarva Life, life at its best here on Delmarva.